Well, it's not the highest priority for our government, I don't think. And the civil rights law, as you know, in our country that was proposed, a very modest law, was vetoed by President Bush, which was kind of a setback in setting an example for the rest of the world. It's amazing to me as I travel around in many countries how other countries watch what goes on in the United States. And if we take a move toward protecting human rights, or civil rights as we call them domestically, then it sets a very good example.
Held the view now that there's a real lack of leadership in Washington among Democrats or among Republicans, either one. And I mean, you know, you've had people like Ross Perot say that we're the most drug-ridden, crime-infested of the industrial nations. We've got 5% of the world's population, and we use 50% of its cocaine, and on and on. And you hear people talk about that and say that Congress is not addressing any of these issues, and the president isn't addressing them. What's happened to leadership, political leadership in the country?
Well, I don't know if it's worse than it has been in the past, or, you know, it's probably just changing times. There's always been cycles and emphasis on integrity and responsibility. We are now afflicted, perhaps permanently, by the legacy of the Reagan administration on national debt. Not only our federal deficits, but also debt to foreigners. In 8 years, the accumulated federal debt was twice as great as all the accumulated debt from George Washington through the time I left office. When I left office, we were the greatest creditor nation on earth. Other nations owed us more money. Right, yeah. Now, we're the greatest debtor nation on earth. In fact, the U.S. debt now to foreigners is greater than that of all third world countries combined. And this is not something that can be overcome rapidly. It's something that's on us and on our children and grandchildren. I think it's going to be 20, 30 years at best, even with a courageous Congress and a courageous president, to undo the damage done.
Well, given that record, yes, given that record, though, and the fact that you're the only Democrat out of the last 6 who've been elected president, do you even think we're going to see another Democratic president in our lifetime?
Yeah, I believe we will.
Yeah?
I believe that we will.
Do you think there's a viable candidate to oppose President Bush in 1992?
Well, a lot of it depends on unforeseen circumstances. You know, how lucky is Bush going to be?
Mm-hmm.
And now the savings and loan disgrace and the deficit disgrace are being overwhelmed by interest in the Gulf situation, and it may or may not, you know, have a lasting legacy of benefit for George Bush. If it does, then I think he can possibly survive, but it depends on the issues then.
Do you agree with